So here's project 3. So you will need the Excel file that I sent to you because that has all the sample data. And basically I'm asking you to do 5 different hypothesis tests. So at the bottom of the spreadsheet that I sent you, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gives you the sample data corresponding to each of the 5 tests. Up here, it describes the extra credit. The extra credit is 5 points. So even though this is a 50-point assignment, you could get 55 points. And to get the extra point, 1 point per problem, you would construct a graph in Excel, a meaningful graph that corresponds to the data. Now be sure that you, when you write these up, and you can think of these as just quiz questions that, you just number 1 and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just write them all. The first 2 problems, I do ask you to construct a confidence interval, but I don't think I ask you to construct confidence intervals in the other settings. So construct and interpret a confidence interval. The rest of these pieces are just part of the 5 steps. So write the hypotheses. Identify the distribution. Here I'm asking you to do a classical approach, so draw the graph. Identify the sample statistics, calculate the test statistic and the p-value. Then do a confidence interval, then make the decision, then summarize the results. So basically this is just the 5 steps with a little bit more. I might ask you to make the decision using a couple of different methods, like the classical approach and then the p-value approach. This one, it's all 3 because of the confidence interval. So you will see problem 2, problem 1, test the claim. So the claim comes here on this sheet. The claim, I think it also appears in the spreadsheet as well. But test the claim that more than 20% of Delta students know someone infected by the coronavirus. So this is a claim. This is what's going to establish your null and alternative hypotheses. But to actually get the summary or the sample statistics, you need to go to the spreadsheet and actually calculate what percentage of the students that did this survey actually know of somebody who is infected by the coronavirus. Problem number 2, test the claim that students had previously taken an online class were less likely to feel that the transition from face-to-face to online is a hardship. So there are 2 questions that I asked. Is going to online a hardship for you? Students responded yes or no. The other question I asked, did you previously take an online class? And the answer was yes or no. So you're going to have to turn all those yeses and nos into the data, the relevant data that you need to run this test. We're going to switch to the survey here in a second. 3, notice fewer parts. No confidence interval in this one. No classical approach requested in this one. Test the claim that students who have jobs are taking a different number of credits this semester than students without jobs. One of the questions I ask, do you currently have a job? Yes or no. The other thing I ask is, how many credits are you taking this semester? So you're going to have to go and find that raw data in the spreadsheet and then use the data in the spreadsheet to extract from it sample statistics that you'll need to test the claim. You'll probably recognize number 4 because you have a table of frequencies, a table of conditional proportions, and a table of expected values. And the question is there a relationship between the impact on one's financial situation and the impact on one's personal life? So you're going to go through the data, identify these 2 questions, and then put the frequencies in here. By the way, I think 85 people took our survey. So it might be 85. If we have missing data, it might be a little bit less than that, but those, well, these 4 numbers, or these 6 numbers, should add up to the 85. There's no confidence interval in that test, but I do ask you to do the classical approach for that one. And then the 5th one, this is really going to help you for the final exam. Really going to help you identifying the appropriate test to take. Test to claim that the median, okay, the median credits per semester for working students who are not living with their parents is less than 12 credits. So again, you need to go to the item on the survey that corresponds to the number of credits, and are they working, and are they living with their parents, and put all that together to find the summary statistics needed, the sample statistics needed to test this claim. All right, so that's the project, and that's what's expected. So now I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go to the survey so you can take a look at what's out there. All right, here it comes. Let's see what we want. We'll first go to the survey itself. And this is what SurveyMonkey gives me. So by the way, when I'm sharing my screen like this, I can't see the chat. So if you want to ask a question, you're going to have to, just press your space bar and ask your question, and then go from there. All right, so which class? You can see most popular one was this one here. You can see about close to 40% of everyone that answered this question was from your class. What is your gender? 59% to 41%, something like that. A higher percentage of females. You live at home with parents, 76% maybe said yes. 24 said no. Well, there you go, 26 to 23. And then there was a spot for some comments. So some students said, well, normally I don't live with my parents, but I'm doing it now because of the coronavirus. Did you take an online course? Close to 60%, 59.5% said yes, and 40% said no. How many credits have you earned to date? The average is about 44. And so that means that on average, most students are kind of in their 2nd year. If you figure you get 15 and 15 for the 2 semesters 1 year, that's 30 credits. So if they've taken 44, that means they're probably in their 2nd year on average. Of course, not every student. All the numbers. The student had 100 credits, 96 credits. 1 must be their 1st semester because they have 0 credits. You can see these numbers are all over the place. And there's some fairly large ones. There's another 100. Another 100. Okay, some programs actually require more than 100. So you end up taking more credits in a program here at Delta than you would to just take 2 years worth of credits and transfer to a 4-year institution. The average number of credits per semester is 12, although if you look at the individual numbers, there's some variation to them. Did you drop any classes? I think only 2 students dropped classes because of the coronavirus. Are you working? Most are working. 55, 53%, 46 no. This was surprising. If you're currently working in a paying job, does your job require that you interact with people face to face? And close to 30% said, yeah, I'm in contact with people. So those folks are in danger. And you can see retail and healthcare tend to be the places where they're working. Are you working from home if you are working? Most say no. Has your current or former employer cut jobs? A lot of yeses there, some don't knows. Did you recently acquire a new job because of the coronavirus? You can see not too many did. So it probably affected people in a negative way. Only 2 people got a job because of the coronavirus. And here's one of the questions related to your project. Did your personal life change? Changed in a major way, changed a little bit, or stayed the same? And it wasn't, not too many for which it stayed the same. What about financial situation? Major impact, 27%, minor impact, 51, no impact at all, 21. What activities would you feel uncomfortable doing? Fewer people feel uncomfortable visiting family, whereas almost all feel uncomfortable going to a crowded party. And then here's one of the questions. Do you know anyone, close family friend or member, infected by the coronavirus? Over 30% know of someone. And if you read the responses down here, you'll see that, you know, some people actually know that someone who died, you know. So have you delivered food, had food delivered? Did you have grocery service? And, you know, you can see these are 55, 44. Okay, and then there's some other ones there. The actual raw data is going to come to you. Oops, let's see. All right, which one did I want? I wanted the Excel file. Okay, here is the raw data, and all of the data is in the tab says all data. It's just, you can see going all the way down. There are, it looks like 87, but the first two rows up here at the top do not contain individual student responses. So we're going to start with 3 and then go down to 87. So that means that there are 85 surveys. Now the sample size for your problems are not always going to be 85, because if there's missing data, we have to get rid of that response when we're analyzing. But if you just go right up here and just, you know, read the input row here, this is the question about gender. And then, do you live at home? Yes, no. Qualitative responses. Did you take an online class? Yes or no, qualitative. The only numerical data values that we have here are in column F. How many total college credits have you earned to date? And then G, how many credits are you taking this semester? And if you go through, it just puts all of these responses in different columns. So it's a huge data set. This is what the raw data looks like after, you know, you get data from a survey. And so the purpose of this last project is for you to translate this raw data into a hypothesis test, and then test a claim, assuming that these 85 individuals who participated in this survey was a subset of the entire Delta College student population. All right, so here's what I've done for you. Down at the bottom is question 1. I restated all the questions, and I'm going to select this. You can see here, test the claim that more than 20% of Delta College students know someone infected by the coronavirus. So what I did is I went to that question on the survey and got rid of all the other data, just grabbed over that, the data related to that one question. And then here you can see some no's, some yeses, and so on. And it goes from 3 down to 87. So if you count those, I'm just going to highlight it. And then stop right there. So from 87 to 3, down here you can see the count, the actual number of responses that you have. So that's our sample size. Then, so I'm going to say N is 85. And then I'm going to say X is, and I'm going to go count the yeses, because what I'm interested in is the yeses. So the people said, yes, I do know somebody who has been infected by the coronavirus. So if you want to count up the yeses, you can do this command here. Equals, and then COUNT. So count, and then count if. So then count if. And then we have to give the range. So again, I'm going to give the range from A3 down to A87, right there, and then a comma. And then the response I want, the criteria is the word yes. And I have to put that, since it's a text string, I have to put it in quotes. So count all the yeses is basically what this is saying. Count if the response is yes. And then I hit enter and it says 26. So then the p hat that you would want here would be to take the number of successes and divide by the total number of responses. And there you have it. And you can change that into a percentage, give it more places of accuracy if you like. And here is the sample statistic, the single proportion that we need for our data. Test the claim that more than 20%. Oh, well, that looks like more than 20% know someone infected with the coronavirus. I wonder if that difference that we observe from our data is statistically significant. All right, so this method of going through the data and identifying the counts in this way, this is what you're going to have to do in this study, in this survey. Let's go to number 2. At the 0.01 level of significance, test the claim that students who had previously taken an online class, so that's this one here, did you take an online class before this semester? We're less likely to feel the transition from face-to-face in the online environment was a hardship, and that's this one here. So for this one, you have to use 2 different categorical responses. And you have, I told you down here to assume that both samples were selected from independent populations. So you'd have one group that took an online course. So those would be the yeses to this question, did you take an online course? So you group all the yeses together, and that represents the first group. And then you group all the no's together, and that represents the second group. And then you calculate the proportion of the yeses and a proportion of the no's that get a yes. And so here's the response to the second one. So you could do it in the same way. So all the no's are sorted here. So these are the folks that did not, from about right here, did not take. So if I highlight all the no's, down here's the count. So I have n equals, oops, didn't want to do that. N equals, I forget what it was now, was it 32? All right, and of those 32, how many of them said yes, it was a hardship? All right, so we can only focus on the no's, and then here are the yeses that correspond to the no's, right to there. All right, so here's the no's, and of the no's that said that they've never taken an online course, this many, or 20, said that they've experienced a hardship. So that would be how you would calculate the first proportion. Then you could scroll down and then look at all the yeses, and then look at how many yeses of all the yes response. All right, that's all I'm going to say here. And I would say to try all these problems today or tomorrow. And then if you have questions, you need to start sending them to me. And if you ask questions during this session, I will answer them. and I'll have these up here so I can point you in the right direction. But so this is different than what we've done before, because you actually have to take the raw data and translate the raw data into the sample statistics that you need to be able to test the claim. In number 3, so this one, and I'm not sure if I left that in there or not. At the 0.05 level of significance, test the claim that students who have jobs. Are you currently working in a paying job? We have, it's assorted by the no's up at the top and then the yeses down at the bottom. So there are some yeses and some no's. And notice that we only have 81 total here because I had to delete a couple of cases because of lack of data. Those that have jobs, yeses. Those that do not have jobs, the no's. Treat them as two independent populations, and then calculate the average number of credit hours that they're taking. And here are the number of credits for each student. So you're going to need to take an average in here. Take an average of the no's and take an average of the yeses and see if there's a difference. Question number 4. I put a copy of the table in here. You want to fill this is a graphic, so you're not going to be able to enter in anything there, but you want to enter in frequencies in each one of these 6 boxes. So what number would you put in major impact changed in a major way? Well, so this was there a financial change? And here's the financial change question. So of these individuals that said major impact, right there, major impact, because I have these sorted in that column B. So that corresponds to these 2 numbers. So you're going to get these 2 numbers here from these. So changed in a major way. I've got, if you look down here, 16 is what I would put here, because 16 changed in a major way and had a major impact on the financial situation. So I put 16 here, and then changed a little bit, or not at all. There are no not at alls here, but if you count those up, you get 7. So 16 and 7. For those that had a minor impact, all of these, minor impact, there were 44 of them. So these 2 added together would be 44. And then you come over here and you select the number. It changed in a major way. The first number would be 20. And the next number includes both changed in a change but only a little bit and stayed about the same. So you want to count the stayed about the same and the change but only a little bit over here. Changed a little bit or not at all, stayed the same. So you want to add those 2 categories and put the sum here. All right, so we're going from the qualitative data into useful data that we can use to run our test. And finally, question number 5. This one says, test a claim that the median credits per semester working students at home not living with their parents is less than 12 credits. So it talks about, do you live at home with your parents? And how many credits are you taking? And are you working in a paying job? So you have to somehow put all those together and then select the data values that we're talking about. So you only want to select the data values of those individuals who are, number 1, working, and number 2, not living at home with parents. So select only those individuals for which those 2 criteria are answered no. Do you live at home with parents? No. Do you have a current job? No. Find all the no-nos and then write down the data values that correspond to those no-nos. Okay, again, the big picture on this project is that you're going to be doing 5 hypothesis tests. You do have an opportunity for 1 point of extra credit on each of the parts. And remember, if you get 5 points of extra credit, that's 5 out of 500 points. That's 1 percentage point added onto your overall class percentage.